We're also excited about this show, and also, James, of course, this is the first official project that you launched as part of your DCU. Can you talk a little bit about why start with Creature Commandos?
Well, the reason is, very technical. It's because it was written when I started as the CEO of DC Studios. The truth is like I had talked to Max about creating something after the Peacemaker did so well, and doing something in animation. And I talked to, thanks guys, and I talked to Peter Girardi over at WB Animation about creating an animated series. I like the Creature Commandos. I love monsters. I love Frankenstein and the story of Bride of Frankenstein. And so it just seemed like the perfect thing to do. And I wrote the scripts without even having a deal. And then I happened to get hired as the head of DC Studios. And I very graciously, thank you, greenlit the show, and we made it.
How would you say, when we see this show, this sets a creative template going forward, if it does at all?
Well, I think what this show does is this show is its own thing, and every single project that comes out of DC Studios is going to be its own thing. This is we want this to be very different from what Superman is going to be when that comes out. We want Peacemaker to be different from that when that comes out. But also, those are just the things I'm doing. Right now, Anna and Craig are dealing with Supergirl, and it's just going tremendously well. We have Chris and Damon and Tom who are dealing with Lanterns, getting ready to shoot that, and that's been amazingly well. So every one of those things is going to be very different. It's a connected universe, but we're not imposing any sort of overall aesthetic. And the Creature Commandos show is definitely its own thing, as you can see.
Talking about an aesthetic, there are very specific stylistic choices you and Dean have crafted here. Talk to me a little bit about, you can obviously go many different ways, innumerable ways in animation. How did you arrive at the look that we're seeing in Creature Commandos?
That's a good question for Dean.
Yeah, well, first of all, you can see it's got like a real sort of Eastern European kind of aesthetic to it. We were looking to do something that was sort of grounded, but with some style to it. So, it's got a lot of really dark tones. That palette's really kind of cool. But as you can see, it's very action oriented. It sets itself apart from, say, Harley Quinn and those kind of shows. It's I don't know, it feels more adult, I think.
How did you find working in animation? Did it free you up creatively? I mean, obviously all your work has...
this has been a really interesting experience. So I got the first finished episode back. This has been a long process because it takes a long time. And, I wrote the episodes, got the cast, we directed the cast, they all were fantastic. They start with animatics, they go through that, a few drafts of that, and it keeps changing and changing and changing and changing. I got the first episode back, I was like, oh, okay, well, I think this is gonna be okay. Let me just preface this by saying, I started out as a screenwriter. Working with directors is really hard because you never have it as good as you imagine it in your brain, which is one of the reasons why I started working as a director. And I'm not the director, I directed the voice actors, but not the animation. And the first episode was good. Then the second episode, I was like, oh, shoot, wow, this is actually really good. Then it got to the fourth episode, and I'm like, this is the best experience I've ever had with a director who wasn't myself. And then episode 7 came about, and I'm like, this is better than myself. This is the best experience I've ever had on any project I've ever worked on, including Guardians, including the Avengers movies, including anything. And I just have been so proud of just everybody has come together in such a perfect way. This cast here, the guys over at Bobby Pills who did the animation, Dean and Rich and the guys over there, the guys, Peter Girardi and the guys at Warner Brothers Animation. Everybody really pitched in to make it something beyond, I think, what any of us expected. And I think the cast felt that way too from all the text I was getting when they saw the first 4 episodes. And it gets even better after that.
So, okay, I want to get to the cast, but first just talk to me about, look, there's some folks that are new to you here. There are some folks that have obviously worked with you before.
Yeah.
What was the approach? Did you write with specific folks in mind? Obviously, there's some folks that we've seen before that you're writing
I mean, most people up here I actually wrote for. I mean, obviously, Steve Agee was already John Economos in Peacemaker.
It's died again.
Alan is somebody, he was my first choice for Dr. Phosphorus. we've worked together a lot. He's been my friend. He's been in a bunch of stuff. You know, so he was my first choice. I didn't write specifically for him, but I thought of him early on. Maria, I wrote for. She was the first person ever cast in the DCU. So I texted her because she speaks Bulgarian, and we needed to have Princess Rostovich, and we needed to hire everybody from that country, and they needed to speak the same language. So I wanted it to have, you know, wanted it to be what Maria spoke. So she was hired. Next guy, what's the next guy's name again? Sean Gunn. Yeah, he, you know, I wrote the character. He already played Weasel, and then I you know, thought he'd be good at G.I. Robot. He's fantastic. Zoe, I had never met. She auditioned. She freaking killed me, and she kills me on the show. And the heart of Nina Mazursky, who is the heart of the show. She's, you know, one of the leads, along with the bride and Rick Flag. And
thanks, guys.
Harbor is somebody who I've wanted to work with a lot. You know,
Go on.
He's a genius.
Please continue.
Yeah, he's the greatest person I've ever met.
I think that's good.
That's a little much. No, he's somebody I want to work with. We offered him the role of Frankenstein. Man, you guys, this version of Frankenstein goes back a lot to the original, you know, version of Mary Shelley, and he's fantastic. And then Grillo and I had talked about working together forever. And, you know, we've been, for probably 6-7 years, we've talked about doing something together. And when I came over to DC, I was like, yeah, I think I have the right thing.
Yeah, and I paid him some money, and it all worked out in my favor.
That's right.
So
that's
thanks,
how DC works now, payola.
Yeah, when in doubt, bribery works. That's the message today. Okay, so let's go down the line. Steve, obviously, you have some history with this character. Economist in this one, similar take on it? What is it? A totally different thing when you're in the VO booth as opposed to being on Peacemaker?
Economist is steadily staying the same. His arc is a straight line to awesomeness. Yeah, he's not a hero. He's not a monster. He's just a terrified pussy, and we saw that in Peacemaker season 1, and you'll see it in 2, and in this show as well.
Love it. Alan, Dr. Phosphorus, maybe the coolest name of the group. Let's start there.
I'll take it. Yes.
Right?
Coolest name.
Talk to me a little bit about this character. What do we need to know? Is he a good hang? Tell us about Dr. Phosphorus.
He's not a good man. He's a monster. He's a homicidal killer and takes joy in causing pain. You do get his backstory. Everybody's gonna, you know, you're gonna see where everybody came from, their origins, and it's terrifying, and it's what created him. That's why they call it an origin story.
Oh, thanks, Alan.
Yep.
Wow.
I think I can't wait for everybody to see this, because there's moments where you are shocked in horror and moved, and then by the same characters can make you laugh and then also make you cringe because they're so violent and screwed up. That's my character. He's one of those people.
Maria, you are not a creature commando. We can say that. Where do you fit into this storyline here? Where does Ilana Rostovic fit in?
Well, you know, I got to work with James Gunn on Guardians of the Galaxy, and I was so excited that this is happening, because he's not only incredibly, extraordinarily talented writer, director, leader, but the nicest human being that I got to meet. So when Guardians ended, I was like, oh no, why am I getting here so late? I'm never going to see him again. And then one day I got a message. I'm writing something, thinking of you. She's going to be this femme fatale Disney princess, and it's going to be part of Creature Commandos. Look out for it. And I was like, what? Is it really going to happen? And then it happened. And it's an original character that he developed, and I'm humbled and honored to play it. It's interesting.
Amazing. Sean, we get to see the return of Weasel, but we also see, yes. GI robots.
Yeah.
Educate us. What do we need to know?
Yeah, well, it's really cool. I love both these characters. The Weasel, I know that the public had been really clamoring for more Weasel after the Suicide Squad. It wasn't nearly enough. But it was really cool being able to explore his arc. We get to learn a lot more about the Weasel, for better or for worse, which is very cool. And then of course, G.I. Robot. It's nice to play a character that doesn't just screech and squeal and lick. A lot of licking. But G.I. Robot hates Nazis, which I hate Nazis.
Yeah!
So it was really, I could immediately have something to sink my teeth into, and I love both these characters. I love this show. It's really, as James is saying, it's one of the, I've been working with him forever, and it was one of my favorite things. I was like, is this my favorite thing he's ever written? That's crazy, and it might be. I just really, really love it.
We have a lot of Comic-Con veterans in the house. Ladies and gentlemen, Zoe Chow's first Comic-Con. Make her feel welcome.
Yeah.
Nina Mazursky, not necessarily a name I would associate with a superhero team, but she's a part of it. Tell us about her.
She is. She is an aquatic being. She can only breathe in water. She wears a water suit and a water helmet tank, and at night she goes to sleep in a bathtub when she takes off her suit. And she's arguably the kindest and most reasonable of this bunch. And even though she has a tragic origin story, yeah, she remains a very open and feeling character, and is kind of the pathos in this season, and I think that's her superpower.
How does she eat?
Oh, I'll tell you, Frank. She puts food into the chute that's in her collar, and then it bubbles up into her helmet, and then she eats the food. And I really hope we get to do that live action.
David Harbour, the always humble, calm, sedate David Harbour. Come on.
What's up, Comic-Con? God, I love New York Comic-Con. I live in Brooklyn. I'm a nerd like all of you. I love it. Speaking of kind and reasonable characters,
Frankenstein obviously comes to mind.
Yeah.
What's your Frankenstein? Recognizable? James was talking about going to source material a bit, the ages,
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's definitely its own take for sure. But, you do have this Frankenstein and the Bride story, which has a bit of a traditional thing to it. And I was, when, he sent me the script, I've loved the character of Frankenstein. I think it's because, it's just sort of in my wheelhouse that if you have like a large person who sort of has the inner workings of a tantrumy 4-year-old, you're going to want to get David Harbour. But I really love, the story of Frankenstein's monster being this being that was created to be like a companion, this erudite companion who just is kind of off kilter and then finds himself needing a mate and having no one, and so one is created for him, and that's not the way to get a girl, apparently, as you'll see. Spoiler alert. But yeah, again, like everybody's saying up here, I sound like just aping everyone else's comments, but it is, it's a familiar theme, but it's a very original take, and it's some beautiful storytelling, and I just love the character, and I think people will be really surprised by it, as I was.
Mr. Frank Grillo, we are so happy you're a part of this, man. As James said, it sounds like you've had conversations over the years, so when it finally happened, when he finally came to you and said, Frank, I've got it, What's that phone call like? How much of a give and take is there?
Yeah, I think all of us can agree that when Gunn calls you, I think he got like the couple of words out, and it was like, hey, I got this thing. I went, okay, and that was kind of it. And then, as he said, we got all the scripts at one time, and I read it, and I was like, wow, this is special. And why do you want me? And I, fell in love with it immediately. And it's a character that's kind of in my wheelhouse, like the grizzled ex-military troubled guy who's got to be the straight man and take care of all these maniacs. And it was a lot of fun. I got to work with David in the booth, and I was on the ground most of the time because he had me hysterical laughing for about 4 hours and then crying a little bit. He got me, yeah.
There's a bit of a bromance between Frankenstein and Rick Flag Sr., which comes easy when you're working with someone who's devilishly handsome.
Go on.
That's
Go
Frank
on.
Grillo. But it was a really fun little element, and we got to, because in animation a lot of times you don't meet anyone you work with. Like I haven't met any of the rest of you. Hi. But yeah, Frank and I were in the booth together. There's a lot of kind of overlapping. We played around a little bit. It was a lot of fun.
It was great. And then Maria and I we have in the show, we have a very steamy X-rated kind of scene, which I watched with my 16-year-old son, who was fairly traumatized.
Just for the record, X-rated is pushing it.
It's not X-rated.
It's a love scene.
It's a steamy scene. Yeah,
it's a hard R. Yeah, it's a hard. No, I mean, come on, it's a hard R. You can say that. He's 4,000 of our closest friends, right? Right. Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
I got the best video ever of, because I was in Zoom, they were both in the booth, and I took video of them because they have to, they're having sex. And I have video of Frank and Maria in the booth, trying to coax them into this scene, and they're moaning and they're making out and kissing. And they're both just making out with their hands. And I've got this video of them that I will release when episode 2 comes out.
No, you won't.
Yeah, I will.
Further embarrassment for my 16-year-old son.
It's a really great scene. I watched it 30 or 40 times, and it's really excellent.
Right. Anybody else have any embarrassing committed to the cause efforts in the booth? Because you can look like a fool in a booth when you're really committing 150%. Anything you guys had to do in the booth that, in retrospect, if you had a camera on you, you're embarrassed about?
Well, every line Sean did was embarrassing. By Weasel.
My superpower is I guess I don't get embarrassed. I don't know why. I just shut that off at some point. But yeah, there's a lot of as I mentioned the licking, there's a whole lot of can we get a longer, slower lick here, and I'm a professional, so I'm of course, that's what I'm going to give you. I'm not embarrassed.
Yeah.
You're embarrassed. I don't.
So he was doing it for a while, and he was waiting for somebody to call cut, and finally he said, "Am I done licking myself?"
Yeah, can I?
James, you've said before that the intention is potentially to see some of these characters in live action. So does that inform how they are animated in that you don't want to go too far? You want to be able to convey them if and when you go live action. Does it influence?
Well, absolutely. Not only do we want to, but I mean, Rick Flag appears in Superman. He appears he's a major character in Peacemaker Season 2. And so, when we cast the characters, we wanted to cast people that could play those characters in live action, at least for the major characters. So that was something that we just thought of from the beginning. I also have to give a shout out to Indira Varma, who's not here.
Yes.
Who couldn't be here today, but she's incredible on the show. The bride is, in a lot of ways, the protagonist of the show, and she's just amazing. And so I just want to mention her. Also, we have some great people that came in for guest spots for us.
Oh yeah,
Michael Rooker played a character unlike Peter Serafinowicz.
He was amazing.
Linda Cardellini. Mm-hmm. Ben Davis plays Dutch, and so it's
Greg
just
Henry.
these who you hear in the trailer actually. But all these, wonderful people. Greg Henry, of course, who plays Zoe's dad. Really amazing actors overall who just have, all put themselves into this.
Is it, speaking of the looks of them in animation and live action, Frank, is it true when you saw the animation version that it kind of influenced how you were going to be shown in season 2 of Peacemaker? You kind of looked at how you were animated?
I did. I wanted to cut my hair the same way. I wanted to make it white, kind of like what James has going on. I really wanted to look exactly like that. I wanted somebody's body imposed over mine, but I was doing another show at the time, Tulsa King, and I was like, I had longer hair, and we kind of had to reverse engineer.
We did.
My hair because of, and so I never got to do, but in season 3, I think maybe. What?
You go suddenly completely.
Yeah, I go white, and maybe I could cut my hair a little bit. Yeah.
We get it as close as we can.
We did, yeah.
It must.
But people have asked, like, is my hair white and stuff? And I'm like, no, it's not.
It must be invaluable for you guys, though, because I assume you saw renderings of your characters when you're in the VO booth. How did that inform your portrayals of the characters?
I didn't see the character drawing till afterwards, but I know what John Economist looks like because
That's fair.
already been doing it.
Zoe, did you see Nina?
Advantage.
Did you see Nina before you recorded?
No.
Oh, really?
I don't think so, but I was like, there are my gills.
Yeah.
I'm so.
How do you know? Okay, we kind of alluded to this before. You talked about kind of a love scene in the show, but like the ability to go big and weird and extreme in animation, like how far to push it. Is that just an internal barometer you have for yourself?
Well, there was one thing in the show I remember that I thought was too much, and I pulled it back a little bit, but not very much.
No, I mean, for the most part, when you have actors this great, you're just giving little nudges one way or another.
Yeah.
Can we also allude to maybe the structure of the show, which I found very interesting, in that this does tell a single story while at the same time exploring the backstories, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we stole it from Lost, but basically it's the first episode is, you just see the team come together, but then every episode after that explores the backstory of one of these characters. Not necessarily the origin, in some places the origin, but just something from their past that we see about how they got to the place where they are today. And we get to know these characters in a much more intimate way because of that, and I think it's a really fun way to get to know them. And you see that some of them are a lot better than maybe we think they are at the beginning of the series, and some of them are even worse. Right? So it's really fun. I think that, a lot of people have said to me, well, this is Guardians of the Galaxy. It's about a team of misfits coming together. And I'm like, well, there's some truth to that. But the truth is, this is like, at the end of the day with the Guardians of the Galaxy, you know that those characters are all good people and animals and trees. This isn't necessarily the case. This is kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy with the sentimentality stripped back, because the characters aren't all perfect and the stories aren't perfect, and characters die, and it isn't always for a purpose, like when Yondu dies at the end of Guardians 2. Sometimes it's just a tragic circumstance, and it's a darker story than that in a lot of ways, but hopefully equally invigorating.
That being said, I mean, I've seen 4 of them. It is hugely emotional. I don't tend to cry or get emotional watching animation short of Pixar, but you go there. You really do push it, and it's very effective.
Yeah, I mean, I remember writing one of the episodes, I don't even know what I should say, which one, episode 4. I won't say who it's about. And I walked I was in Colorado with my wife, Jen, and I walked into the kitchen, and I was like, I think this is the saddest thing I've ever written in my entire life. It is really heartbreaking. And I could feel it in my bones how sad it was. It also happened to be the episode that I was the most insane about getting right,
Yeah, you were really on top of that one.
Yeah.
But it was great. And when we were working on the episodes, I give a big shout out to Rick Morales, who was our animation supervisor, did an amazing job. As we'd finish each episode, we'd come in and see each other and go, is this as good as we think it is? And it was just like, it kept growing. And we fell in love with the project as we were working on it.
I assume by now, most, if not all of you, have seen some of the episodes. What struck you? I mean, obviously, it goes to a whole other level. You're in the VO booth, you read the scripts, but then see all the art come together must be a trip. What struck you? What surprised you?
It's sexy. Ooh, it's so sexy.
Super sexy.
Yeah. You're not used to it in animation. I mean, that's not the kind of stuff I watch. But it's a French company, right? A French animation.
Yeah, Bobby Pills, and they're fantastic. They're really incredible partners throughout this whole process.
They invented tongue kissing, so they know about sexy. And there's sex in this. It is an adult show, and it has all the adult things. One of those things is sex.
Sex.
Yeah.
So much sex. I thought Bobby Pills was a guy.
It's a great name for a guy.
Hi, I'm Bobby Pills. I animate.
I thought it was a woman.
I knew that, when we started this process that, Maria's character, the princess, and that, Rick Flag, people were going to think they were attractive people. But what I've been sort of surprised by is the amount of people that are attracted to Nina Mazursky online.
Are you aware of this?
I get a lot of oh my God, the fish girl, with the sweaty tongue out emoji.
James told this to me earlier, and I am gobsmacked. But cool.
And Weasel, right? And Weasel, a lot of people.
Not as much.
And Frankenstein. Give Frankenstein some love, obviously.
Back to your original question, Josh. I think for me it's like as you said, James, it's something about the unexpectedness of you find yourself falling into these characters as you're watching the episodes and falling into the emotion, and then they'll do something really. And you're like, oh, that's not a good thing. I don't like. You're not going to actually just murder that. Oh, I guess you are. And there's something about that unnervingness that I really enjoy. Everything's unexpected. There isn't a sentimentality to it. You're not sure where it's going to go. You do fall in love with the characters, and I think you feel things for them. But then they also will do things that it will infuriate you, and I really like that. But I'm a weirdo.
That's where you're in the right place. Don't worry, David.
Yeah, I'm here.
Dean, obviously you have extensive experience in animation before. What do you think you brought from Harley Quinn, et cetera, to this project? How do you take it to the next level? What do you take the learnings from there to Creature Commandos?
Well, maybe the one thing that this shares in common with Harley and Kite Man to some extent is, even though those are comedies, pretty clearly comedies, we took them seriously dramatically. We took the relationships very seriously. When there was a death or anything like that, we wanted people to feel it. And so that was a little bit of a crossover, because this gave us an opportunity to more fully do that than we could do in a pure comedy like those shows.
There's the audience for Creature Commandos. Start them young. Okay, who's jealous of another character on the stage? If you could play a different character other than your own, having now read the scripts, seen the show, is your own character your favorite, David? I can see your quizzical look at me.
What did you ask? If you can play a character
if you could play any other character in the cast.
A character other than Frankenstein, who would you play?
Thank you for translating.
Would I play?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, the fish girl.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing.
That checks out, yeah.
No, I don't. Oh, fish. I'm breathing in water. The thing's going to come up in my. I'm going to eat it. Yeah, I want to be the fish girl. Who you want to be?
Well, to be honest, Nina really resonates with me. She this is an earnest answer, but she struggles all of her life to sort of find her tribe and where she belongs. And, she's half human, half fish, and I am biracial. And that it does kind of sound silly to talk about it in 2024, but I grew up in the 90s in a white community and stuff. So what was so compelling about Nina's story is how she remains so open to unexpected relationships, friendships, like with G.I. Robot and Bride, even though she's been shunned by so many people in the past. So I ride for Nina.
Wow, so that's 2 votes for the fish girl.
I'd play Economos because it's so easy. Like, that dude barely does anything.
Yeah, it's true.
Right, you don't have to work very hard to play Economos.
Yeah,
That's like any actor.
You could just you could just pick
Literally.
an actor at random and they do a fine job at
We
it.
could pick anybody out of this crowd and they would do just as fine a
You're
job.
fucking right here, man. I can hear you.
Do you have a rebuttal, Steve? Are you okay?
I'd play Amanda Waller.
Yeah.
Oh, Viola
Wait,
also
the same way you play Economos, or would it be different?
I honestly can barely hear anything anybody is saying. But yes.
It is a treat getting Viola Davis, come on, to be a part of the show
Viola
again.
was like... She's one of my favorite actors I've ever worked with, if not my very favorite. She's such a great woman. And when she was the last major character that we recorded, and when she came in, we had other people doing that role. They did a great job that were, placeholders. And when Viola came in and did, Amanda, it just grounded it so well, and she's so incredible in the show. Gets a chance to do a little bit of humorous stuff too, and some emotional stuff, and she's just really brought everything together, and I'm so fortunate to have her as a person in my life and in my creative life.
What was the process of, because it obviously has links to Peacemaker and the Suicide Squad, and kind of picking and choosing what to retain from those to bring to this?
Well, I mean, it's really, for me, it's all first and foremost about story. We don't want anybody coming to Creature Commandos and going, oh, you have to watch the Suicide Squad to understand what happened in Creature Commandos. Oh, you have to watch Peacemaker. We want people to be able to come in this totally blind, and they're totally excited by it. So there's nothing that isn't explained in the show itself. However, there are references to some other things that happened in the past, and those things then become canon in the DCU because we mention them in this show. So we have references to Peacemaker situations. We have, we learn a little bit that your son died. We learned that other things that have happened in the past in other media have still happened.
And there are, safe to say, we obviously know Frank, Steve, we will see again in live action, but there are plans afoot. You are thinking of how to utilize this amazing cast.
Absolutely. We have ideas for other things, and a couple of these people may appear in other media, as other characters, soon.
Interesting.
You?
Speaking of other media, James, you've been a busy man. There is a lot on the DCU plate.
Yeah.
Give us some updates. Let's start. We've been talking a little bit about Peacemaker. We just saw there's a new helmet for our Peacemaker, so...
Well, it's an old helmet. It was from season 1 that Steve Agee took from season 1, so not a new helmet. It's an old helmet.
Fair enough. So
there are new helmets, but that's not one of them. Peacemaker we're shooting it now. I shot till late last night and then came in today for this. I have to go back and shoot on Monday. The new series has been going exceptionally well. Somewhere we have Greg Mottola in the audience, who... great director of Superbad and other fine films, who directed 2 of the best Peacemaker episodes ever in episodes 2 and 3 of season 2, and it's going exceptionally well. John Cena has improved as an actor in a way that I have honest to God, I have never seen anyone who has gotten so much better in such a short amount of time. He was great in the first season. And the rest of the cast is all there. The 11th Street Kids, as they're called, and we're having a great time shooting that. And it's a very different season of Peacemaker, very magical.
I'm just excited to see him back in the costume on the press tour again. I hope he commits. I know he will. He always does. Superman. We are very, very, very excited. Next summer, Superman. You recently showed off Crypto.
We have Crypto in the house. Yeah, Crypto's been something that has been just amazing. We've been working with him in the edit, and he's just He's an incredible part of the story. He was an incredible part of the story to me personally. When I was writing the screenplay, he kind of came in and, changed everything up. And the movie is going extraordinarily well. We're deep in the process of editing. David Corn Sweat is going to blow people the fuck away. Like,
Sexy.
He is the movie star that that everyone just dreams he could possibly be, and I don't think anyone really understands the depth of this guy's talent. Dramatically, comedically, he's the best physical, action star I've probably ever worked with, except for,
Yeah, take it down a notch.
except for Frank.
Let's take it easy. I've heard
Except for
these
Frank.
stories.
He's an amazing actor, and Rachel Brosnahan, people are going to die for her as Lois. Eddie Gathegi is Mr. Terrific. So it's really been it's been a great process. Where the edit is getting really close to being good. I mean, the movie's good, so it's like I feel good about it, and it's I'm really hard on stuff, so it's been fantastic.
Is there any footage on you? Do you have the trailer on you? Do you have is there a trailer yet?
No, see, now you're teasing them. No, I don't have a trailer, guys. Don't get too excited. There's no trailer. No Superman trailer.
On the phone?
No, I have some stuff on my phone.
Yeah, I bet you did.
Everybody, let's rush him and get his phone. Yeah.
I took it off me just in case people attacked me.
Smart man.
Somebody in the audience has it. You have to guess who. There's lots of stuff. It won't be too long before we see a trailer, but it's also not going to be too soon.
A little update on Supergirl. We have a director. We have a Supergirl, obviously.
Yes.
What can you tease about the story we're going to see for Supergirl on the big screen?
Well, Anna and Craig, the writer and the director, have been doing a fantastic job of spearheading this. We start shooting in England in January. I just saw, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I just saw the screen test for Ruthie with Millie Alcock, who's playing Supergirl. And oh my God, I'm so excited. And and that's another project that's just been blessed from the beginning. Anna came in and she pitched the story to me of Supergirl, and it was just one of the best pitches I'd ever heard. And she immediately wrote it. She came in with the first draft that was great, and it's just gotten better and better. And then Craig has been incredibly easy to work with. And I can't wait for that one to come out. It's very much based on Tom King's comic Woman of Tomorrow. There are, of course, differences because it's a 3-act structure, so it's a little bit different in the structure of which kind of goes through various stories. But it has all those major characters, the major themes. Supergirl's a mess, and it's something I can't wait for people to see. I think it's a completely different, unique take on a superhero.
And talking about unique takes, it sounds like the Green Lantern story we're going to see in Lanterns is different than we've ever seen. We're all very excited about this. The casting has just come together.
Yeah.
Aaron Pierre, Kyle Chandler.
That's right. Well, Aaron Pierre is somebody who I've wanted to work together with for a long time. He's, people don't know, but he was almost Adam Warlock. He's an amazing actor, and I've just really admired him from the beginning of his career. And so when it got down to it, he was just fantastic. And seeing him read with Kyle was sort of one of those miraculous moments where you go, oh my God, I don't care what they're saying. I just love everything they're saying together. Chris, Damon, and Tom have put this thing together. It's another project that's been blessed from the beginning. It's something, when we first started the DCU, in the first couple of weeks of heading this up, we got together with a group of writers, and Tom King was one of those writers, and we were in this room, and we came up with sort of this concept for Lanterns, and then we got Chris and Damon involved, and it just kind of has come out very easily, very naturally. It's a much more, it's a very grounded series, a very real series, which is strange to say in a Green Lantern show, but it's going to be something like nobody's ever seen before, and I can't wait for people to catch it on HBO when it comes out.
You've got a lot on your plate, sir, so we thank you for lending your time to us today. The DCU is in good hands with Mr. James Gunn. Folks, Creature Commandos, if I haven't said it enough, it's coming out December 5th. It will be your new obsession. It's fantastic. Before we all go, I just want to say, we're going to show a slide here. This is a first look at the first Creature Commandos product available right now, including a first look at Funko's collection. If we could see the slide.
Oh.
I was told this year. There it is. You can go to dc.com and DC shop. That's shop.dc.com. And more info is coming soon, so definitely keep an eye out for that.
And Zoe's walking around with a whole bag full of Nina Mazurskis.
It's
so.
true.
That's right. Everybody's
Come
new
at
crush. Nina Mazursky, everybody's new crush. Everybody, give it up one more time for James Gunn, the amazing cast of
Hey,
Creature Commandos. James.
Can I just say thank you guys for the warm welcome. Thank you for everything. I've never been to New York Comic Con, and I'm just so appreciative to be here. I love you guys. Thank you for all your love and support online. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.